Okay everyone, hello, welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a new playthrough that I'm going to be doing. It was actually my birthday yesterday, so happy birthday to me. And then one of my dear friends, Aryakon, he sent me this game for my birthday, so I was talking about it and I talked about how much I wanted to play it, so here I am. I'm going to play a little bit of the game. I'm just going to taste of what it's like, so let's go for it. Explorer, soldier, mage. Let me make this full screen. I can't. Screw it. Okay. It's hard to read these things. I think I might be a soldier.
My friend, I have need of your skills once again. Darkness has fallen upon the city of Istanbul. Blood paints the streets, and the cries of the dying rise from the night. The Sultan himself will not set foot within its walls until the dread curse is lifted. Holy men, knights, and inquisitors have all been sent, yet none have returned. You are the only one whom I trust to investigate this. Your cunning, your prowess, and your penchant for results are needed here more than ever. Find the source of this wickedness, and deal with it as only you can. Godspeed, my friend, and watch your back.
Alright, thank you, sir. Chapter 1. Okie dokie. You pass through the gates of Istanbul on a moonless night. The lights from torches are few, and the eyes of midnight wanderers are many. A group of guards huddle around the body of a woman, her heart ripped out, and used to paint a tall blood 15 days on the wall behind her. The height of fear is heavy on the streets. The accent of death haunts the tight air. It is a city under siege, and the enemy is invisible. Okay. Bazaar Square Port. You have just purchased your lunch from a falafel vendor when a man bumps into you. "Please," he whispers, "I need your cloak." You look at the man. He is out of breath and sweating. You've seen this kind of expression before, and look over his shoulder to see palace guards moving quickly through the crowd, searching for someone. "Please," he begs. Give him your cloak. Tell him to move along. Tell him to move along? You can't afford to be caught up in a royal pursuit, so you tell the man to move along. He hisses in frustration and darts off into the crowd. You watch as the guards push through the square, eventually catching him. As you eat your lunch, you wonder what possible crime the man could have committed. You follow the guards as they take him to a pair of posts in the middle of the square. He screams as they strip down and tie him up. The crowd begins to thicken as one guard unrolls an edict and begins to read, "For the crime of entering the royal harem." The man is hoisted upside down into the air, his legs splayed apart in a V. The Grand Vizier has decreed death by saw. Several members of the crowd cheer as two of the guards position an enormous hacksaw between the man's legs. The man screams his prayers to Allah. Then the guards begin to saw downward. The man's cries are unforgettable. Blood splatters in every direction as the guards saw back and forth, bisecting the man in raw and gruesome fashion. It takes long minutes, with organs dropping out of his body, until finally they saw through his head, and he splits completely into two halves, swinging heavily from the ropes. Excuse me, tied to his feet. The crowd cheers. You are no longer hungry. Oh. I'm a con. Oops. You make your way through the port of Istanbul as the sun goes down. There's a fisherman who may have information on people being sold and smuggled out of the port. As you search for his berth along the multitude of piers, you hear a voice calling out to you. Turning, you find a woman cinched into a European dress. waving at you from a docked ship. "Pardon me," she says in a German accent. "Well, would you have a moment to assist my lady?" "Curious," you call back. "What seems to be the problem?" "My Contessa is ill and needs help leaving the boat. Would you please be so kind?" "Well, I wasn't so nice last time with the cloak, so maybe I should assist the Contessa." You board the ship, and the lady takes you to the main cabin. There, reclining on a large bed, is one of the most beautiful young women you've ever seen. Her flowing brunette locks dance across the pillow as she turns toward you. "I apologize," she says, "but I haven't the stomach for sea travel. Would you please carry me to the pier?" "It would be my honor," you reply, and gather up her lithe form in your strong arms. Her delicate hands drape around your neck as you carry her from the boat and onto the pier. A carriage has arrived since you went aboard, and you carefully deposit the Contessa inside, next to a black woman in a colorful turban. "There you are, Contessa," you say, but then you realize that you haven't been properly introduced yet. Her eyes meet yours. "Karnstein," she replies. "Carmilla Karnstein. Asteria." You kiss her hand in the European fashion. "Welcome to Istanbul, Contessa," you say. She leans in and kisses you on the cheek. Then the British coachman cracks his whip and the horses pull the coach away into the city. When it has gone, you resume your search for the fisherman. You find him 2 piers down and ask what he knows about the people being bought and smuggled. "I'm not talking to any lover of the beer," he hisses. "What do you mean?" you ask. "Beer," he spits back. "Vampire. They cannot cross running water except at noon and midnight, unless someone carries them over it." He crosses himself and walks away from you. Oh. I'm doing everything wrong! Okay. Bizarre. You have just killed the cannibal kidnapper of Yasid. I'm trying to pronounce stuff correctly, but I'm totally butchering this language and these words. After pursuing him for 3 days, you finally caught up with him outside the bazaar, just as he had found his next victim. You lift the kidnapped boy into your arms and check him for wounds. There's a nasty bite in his shoulder, but that seems to be the worst of it. You pull your head out of the kidnapper's corpse, and his head lolls to the side. His pointy, filed-down teeth still appear menacing from inside his slack mouth. You carry the boy out of the hot alley and back into the covered bazaar, weaving through pillars and tents until you come to where his parents sell their wares. His mother and father cry out in relief as they run to you, taking the child, holding him close. "Thank you," the father says desperately. "Heaven be praised, you've saved my little Farah. How can I repay you?" You wave your hand, saying, "A life spared from the horrors of the city is payment enough for me." "No," replies the man as the boy's mother rushes with her son back to the tent. "No, I must insist. Please come." The elixir of the Raha from darkest India, which will make the drinker 3 times the warrior they once were. The drought of Hammurabi, which was discovered in the ruins of Babylon and widely thought to bestow the drinker with the wisdom of the ancients. Oh, I have to pick one! I'm gonna say with the wisdom of the ancients. The apothecary. Apothecary. I don't know how to say it. The apothecary hands you the pewter bottle with the emerald stopper and thanks you from the deepest corners of his heart. The potion tastes of cedar, potash, and nutmeg, but a certain charity begins to open in your mind. You find things you never noticed before, everywhere you look, and the meaning of people's words seem much plainer to you now. So I made things worse for myself. That's great. Awesome. Okay. Chapter 2. The evidence you've collected lays spread out on the table before you. Your meal from the tavern downstairs of your weapons are across the room, save the one that no one ever expects. You. With singular speed and deft strikes, you grapple with the hooded assassin, keeping the jagged knife just beyond the slice of your flesh, until at last you gain that crucial advantage and flip your attacker over onto the table, breaking into splinters in the process. The assassin lies still. Pulling back his mask, you find a horrible slackness in his head, the result of a broken neck. His face is European. Around his neck is a silver cross with a tiny dragon curled around it. In his pocket you find a small bound copy of the Exorcist's Doctrine and a piece of folded paper. It is a letter with the name of the inn where you are staying, as well as your room number. Excellent, you think to yourself. People are trying to kill me, then I must be getting somewhere. When I think of the dragon, I think the Order of the Dragon, which is coming from the Dracula book and everything, so that's what I'm thinking right now. So it's someone that's coming after him in regards to Dracula, vampires, blah, blah, blah. But I could be wrong. Alright. Okay. Wow, more locations. Cool. I'll go back to the port. You head down to the dock, intending on questioning people about the rash of horrific murders that have been happening. You can tell that people are on edge. They are gathering in greater numbers, even during the day, but few of them will talk to you. Just as you are about to head to a different district, a chorus of gasps and shrieks erupt from further down the pier. You run toward the commotion, a crowd forming around a large fishing boat. There, caught in the net with the day's catch, is one of the strangest creatures you have ever seen. It looks like a cross between a fish and a serpent, but it is over 12 feet long. Its eyes are deep red and its powerful jaws are lined with impossibly large fangs. Several people cross themselves, despite the fact that it is clearly dead. The man next to you, who is a merchant you've seen in the bazaar, says, "Never did I believe that I would see a Judas fish during this lifetime. I will pay you 40 gold coins for it." The fisherman accepts and says he won't touch it. The merchant then says, "Another 30 silver coins to the man who will carry it back to my tent." The merchant understands offer, "Keep your distance from the thing." "Keep your distance from the thing." "I'll do it," says a large tattooed man. "How far away is yours?" Suddenly the monster flails up and snaps its jaws around the man's head. The crowd screams and the Judas fish then flops off the deck, hauling the man with it, and disappearing beneath the water. An old Turkish woman next to you shakes her head and says, "Never trust a Judas, especially for 30 silver. Good, I'm getting some positive results here. That's a relief. Alright, we'll go to the square. The square is quiet at night. Here and there, the late-night wanderers move like dark ghosts toward their destinations, keeping mostly to themselves. You walk among them, unable to sleep, attempting to find the connections to all the varied pieces of the puzzle you've gathered. A soft clicking sound drifts across the square, and you recognize it from your nights in the Lebanese desert. You gaze off toward the Tower of Galata, and after a few moments your eyes detect a swarm of bats circling their way across the square, probably snatching up moths in the warm night. The sight reminds you of happier times, and the warmth of... Sorry, I tapped the mic on accident. The warmth of a body next to you on the open sands, but as you watch the cloud of bats you realize that their movement is strange. It almost seems like they are spiraling around so tightly that they are collapsing in one another. You blink in disbelief as the whirling cloud condenses into the form of a man, dressed in flowing black. Attack the man. Approach the man. Attack the man. Recognizing full well that you are witnessing a creature of darkness, you draw your weapon and race toward him. Wide eyes turn to catch your gaze as you approach, but you knew there would be no way to surprise him. You leap up at the shadowy figure, blade swinging in a perfect arc. He snatches you by the throat with one hand and catches you by the wrist with his open mouth. Oh. Sharp fangs dig into your flesh and you drop your head to the ground with a clang. The man removes his teeth from your wrist and looks up into your eyes. His skin is gray as slate, and his long black hair dances in the warm wind as his eyes seem to shift from white to red. Surely you can see that this attack was foolish, he says in otherworldly voice. Oh, can I go back? I can't fix it. Your skin crawls at his words. You try to speak, but you cannot. His eyes hold you transfixed. I see many things in your quest is noble, yet misguided. You seek to treat symptoms while ignoring the disease, and yet, I think you may find your way to the heart of this darkness yet. And if you do, you shall not overcome it by charging in blindly. You are not fast enough, you are not strong enough, and you are not wise enough. The sinister man narrows his eyes, but perhaps you will be, by the time you arrive in the dragon's shadow. When you do, be precise, be thorough, and strike with the arm which I have bitten. Your vision blurs. You vaguely register collapsing to the ground or the slight footsteps of the man walking away across the square. When your mind finally does clear, you are alone. You look down at your wrist. The two puncture wounds seem to have already stopped bleeding. They may even be closing up. Your hand feels cold, but it also feels stronger, faster. Who was that shadow? Thought I did the wrong thing, but I guess not. Okay, we'll go to the catacombs. As you trudge through the vast subterranean halls of the dead, you keep your eyes peeled for signs of the elusive man that you are hunting, the man which many angles of your investigation says must be down here. You can find him. If you can find him, you may have countless children. Oh my god. You may save countless children from being abducted in the future. As you round a bend, however, you are startled to see a woman kneeling against a tomb, softly weeping. Leave her in the darkness. Help her. All right, you ask, approaching cautiously. She turns to look at you, her face veiled. Gods be praised, she cries, climbing to her feet. I have been so lost in the darkness. You take her arm and help her stand, saying, these catacombs are deadly if you aren't prepared. And I believe there's a villain haunting these shadows, a man called the King of the Catacombs. The woman puts a hand to her chest, leaning on you breathlessly. Oh, he is here, she says, stealing down her veil. He sees you even now. You gasp as the light of your torch dances off her eyes, one green and the other enlarged red, oozing a frothy jelly. Ew. Trapped in his supernatural gaze, you black out. You awake much later to find yourself in a grisly chamber, scores of children hanging from the ceiling like meat, gaping holes where their organs have been removed. Oh, terrible hieroglyphs carved into their flesh are on the walls. You cannot sit up from the altar where you lay. The woman with the horrible eyes leaning over you as it glistens. As its glistening jelly drips down onto your naked chest. The king rules from these depths, and his reign is terrible, and he is a jealous king, and shall brook not these new men who bring their own wickedness to the city. His wrath shall be unyielding. You manage to summon your voice, saying, where is he? Where is the king of the catacombs? The woman smiles as her one good eye blinks. No one finds the king, she says, because the king is many places at all times. He is here. She points to her swollen front eye. And now he is here. She raises her arm. You are horrified beyond reason when you see that is not your arm at all. Where your arm had once been, there is now a gaunt, mummified arm, sparsely wrapped in ancient, rotting bandages. You scream in abject madness at gruesome sight. When you awaken back at the inn, you frantically check your arm. You scream again when you see that it is true. You now bear the arm of the king of catacombs, and every blow you strike with it will aid in returning him to the sole dark power of Istanbul. No. End of chapter 2. Okay. Can I stop here? I don't want to get too far into the game, guys. Okay, I guess we'll continue. Chapter 3. This is chapter 2. The orphan with the eye patch scurries soundlessly across the dark rooftops to where you are perched. My imam says that the amulet you drew is the symbol of the Holy Order of the Knights of the Dragon. You eye the smudge-faced child and ask, how can that be? Why would a holy knight try to kill me? The orphan smiles with a few missing teeth and says, Crusaders trying to kill you, eh? Now you know how it is to live in Istanbul. You throw a gold coin to the child. He nods in appreciation, then disappears silently across rooftops. You pull the silver pendant from your pouch and look at it, dangling against the skyline of the city below, the Order of the Dragon. See, I was right! I told you! Alrighty then. I like the art. It's very simple, and I've never really played an RPG kind of style game before, so this is pretty cool. But I just wanted to make a really quick video on the game and just to see how it goes and what it was like. I will be playing it later. I'm kind of really into it, how simple it is, but it really requires some good choices, which I'm not making apparently. But thank you all so much for watching. I'm gonna go ahead and save this game. Can I save it? Oh my god. How do you like... Oh, that's not what I wanted. Okay, anyways, I will just leave the game open until I can figure out how to close it. And I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye!